can hear you loud, proud. Shout it out real loud. Everybody wake up, shout it out real loud. Everybody wake up, wake up. No time for sleeping on the issues. This is Neutral Voices, we gon' deal with the issues.
What do you really want, what they want.
This is In the Know, brought to you by our Neutral Voices. We cannot always build the future for our youth, but we can build our youth for the future. That is a powerful quote from Franklin Roosevelt. So tonight we welcome our guest from the Smith Academy for Excellence. We welcome Corey and Cameron. Good evening.
Welcome, guys.
How are you? Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. So we talk about the building the future for our youth because it's very relevant right now, not just in the nation, but right here in our community. So these gentlemen are here to talk about the Academy for Excellence, give us a little history, explain the program if you have any questions, and also talk about the relevance and the importance of something like this in our community and in all communities. So I'm going to go ahead and let you guys start out with an introduction. Corey, Cameron.
My name is Corey Smith, and I am a co-founder and the school leader at Smith Academy for Excellence.
And I'm Cameron Smith. I am co-founder of Smith Academy for Excellence.
Wonderful. Well, welcome again.
Thank you.
So let's start out with a little history. I know there's a lot of history. When we say little history, I ran across something that said there were 70 years experience of education between, I believe, the family or maybe, explain that. Where's the 70 years come from?
Yes, good question. So the majority of it comes from my dad.
Yep. Okay.
So we founded the school, my dad and Cameron and I.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad's a lifetime educator, and Cameron and I were in education as well when we started the school. And so that is really important part of our legacy is really, started with my dad. And honestly, I did not plan on going into education. Cameron really didn't either. So in college, Cameron didn't initially plan on education. I did end up majoring in education, going to education, but in high school, I did not think I was going to.
Gotcha.
But anyway, so yeah, that's how we, got the school started. As my dad had been in education for a while. Mm-hmm. I was an educator, and Cameron as well. And so I'll let him share kind of the history of how we got started.
Perfect.
Yeah. So kind of piggyback, depending on how far back you want to go, as it relates to actually starting the school and kind of, I guess, the vision. We grew up under our parents, my mom, Thomas and Tony Smith, working with kids. My mom always worked with kids, whether it was in church, whether it's supporting my dad at the schools that he was at. But all three of us, we have an older sister, Angel Dixon. All three of us, we grew up going to, the school with dad. There's a lot of good memories and stories of us. He was at Lakeside Middle School for a period of time, and he initiated a program where he'd open the building up on Saturdays for a recreational program. So as early as, my earliest memories of, probably being 3 years old, was hanging out in the gym and, being the little boy that was in the way of everybody
Right.
trying to play their games. Most of the time was, basketball or wiffle ball, whatever it was. But myself and one of my best friends, we all often laugh about, those days and spend a lot of time out there. So, kind of growing up in that environment, you kind of naturally, admire your parents for what they do and seeing the work that they do. And you can, even as a child, when, someone or your parents or older people are making differences in people's lives.
Yes.
And so I think the three of us just growing up, we kind of knew that in a way, we were that was probably in our future, whether it be exactly right, whether we liked it or not. No,
right.
But truly, I believe that was kind of, from a family standpoint, my dad would tell you that was kind of our ministry as a family. It was just working with kids, whether it was, within a school setting or just, out in the community doing who knows what.
Right.
So because of that, we always kind of, as we got older, talked about how, it'd be cool to potentially work in the same environment within the school, within a school system. or excuse me, the parameters of a school. My sister worked in the school, still working in school in Atlanta right now. And she was a athletic director secretary, so she's been in the schools a lot. It doesn't come up very often, but we were actually homeschooled through the majority of our elementary and middle school years. So I was able to talk my parents into going into school a little bit sooner. Being the baby, I was itching to
Talk them into you were ready.
I was
You were
ready. I was ready.
He's talked our parents into a lot of stuff being the baby.
I could tell by your face that that's a fact.
Yep. So, and scholastic sports is a big deal. And so, by the time Corey and Angel were already out, I was the only one left, by myself. And so, I was itching to get into school, but, try to go back to your original question, but we wanted to kind of lay the foundation. With that being said, I was working at another school at the time. Corey had already been, I would say an expert. I'll brag on him a little bit. Expert fourth grade teacher for 9 years at the same school. And so he had recently gotten his administrative license, I want to say maybe 2 or 3 years prior to us starting. But again, he wasn't planning on going into administration at that time anytime soon. He just kind of, I won't speak for him, but planning on, moving towards that later on down the road in his career. So I was working at another school. Dad was close to retirement, pretty much ready to retire. And I kind of shared the vision with our school leader at the time that I was working at, Mr. Steve Bollier, and kind of told him that I had a concept for an all-boys charter school and an all-girls charter school that would run parallel, and kind of, be under the same roof and kind of move forward in that direction. And that, I wouldn't do it without, my dad and my brother. And so just kind of in passing, I told him that. But what kind of sparked that was I call them the Smith Academy 6. But it was 6 young men that I was working with. I got assigned to within that school pretty much on a daily basis, that we had a block of time that we pretty much spent time together. And so they were just, small things that we were doing. Without me realizing all of it. I mean, some of it I knew was research-based, but without realizing, that some of the stuff we were doing was truly research-based on what helps young men achieve, we were doing it. And so during that time and working with those young men and seeing their progress, and teachers seeing the progress that was being made, moms, their parents were telling me that they noticed the progress that they were making academically, behaviorally, at home, taking initiative to serve at home, taking initiative to help in the neighborhood, those kinds of things. The Lord just kind of gave me the concept and the idea that, if there was, these few young men that we were working with in this environment, how many more kids could use what we were doing,
Absolutely.
Not only in the city, but also the state and also across the nation.
Wow.
And then also had another longtime legend in education locally here, Miss Anita Dortch, one day kind of nudged me and was like, hey, this is something that you can do. So between those two people, really kind of pushed me along. Mr. Bollier one day literally stopped me in the hallway, and I always say I could take people straight to the exact spot in that building where we were at. And he stopped me in the hallway and just out of nowhere was like, hey, I was thinking that concept you had for a school, he was like, there's a need for it. I think you should move on it. And I'm here to do anything I can to help you guys get there. I know you do it without your dad and your father. So talk with them, find out. So literally had a conversation. We often have, meals on Sunday with the family. And so I called them. That was in the middle of the week. And I said, hey, I got something we need to talk about on Sunday. To propose to you all, and literally by I think that Wednesday we were already starting the proposal process. And
that's beautiful, because that could have went a different direction.
Yeah.
Sometimes
very different direction.
you come up with these great ideas, bring the family around. Think about Joseph.
Right.
Had a brother say, no, we're not getting ready to do this. You want to lead this, and this is your vision. But isn't it amazing that you had these great people in your life?
They're my heroes.
That's what I was going to say, that served as heroes and to push, and then, but yet say, I'm here if you need me as you continue this.
That's right.
So that is so powerful. And the young men, can I say the Smith 6?
Yeah, Smith Academy 6.
Are they a part? today? Are they?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Because one of them actually ended up going to a different school after we had started, but we had not. I don't believe we had started the high school at that time. So we started the first year 6 through 9, the first year. And then we grew on each end. But then after the second year that we had high school, one of the young men reached out and said, basically, hey, I know that I want to continue doing what we were doing all those years ago.
Yes.
He specific. I still have the text, so I've kept it in my phone. He said, I want to become a better man, and I think what you guys are doing will get me where I want to be. And I want to, come on. He's like, can I join? I'm like, yeah.
Join.
I'm like, well, yeah, it's public charter school, so you show up, register. So yeah, and he's very, very connected to the school.
Wow.
In a lot of different ways. With our athletic program, he comes in and just hangs out. There's a mentoring component to our school that we're trying to continue to grow, and so he's just always said whatever you can do to help out,
Absolutely.
come around.
That's when you know what you're doing matters and it's
Absolutely.
working.
Absolutely.
It's impactful.
Yep, absolutely.
When you just want to, hey, just hang out and be a part of it.
Yes,
That's
been
beautiful.
a blessing. Been a blessing.
Awesome.
From what both of you are saying here, and from some things that I've read about your dad, it would be safe and accurate to say that all of you are passionate about making sure that, or not making sure, but feeling like all of our youth should be afforded the same opportunity. So with that being said, a word that's come up a lot as we sit here is the need. And we know that there's a need. You saw a need. Let's talk about that need. Let's talk about why it was relevant then and why it's relevant now.
Yeah, I think that's really important. One of the things that we talk about quite often and really was, like say the impetus of starting the school is that particularly our urban males have different needs than other segments of the
Absolutely.
population. And so so that's something that we know about. It's something that, Cameron just mentioned the research behind some of those things. And so we use that research. We use the brain research on males. And that's why we started off as an all boys school, to use that scientifically based research on the brain and how boys' brains tend to develop and
frontal
use
lobe.
that. There you go. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And use that in the classroom so that we're teaching specifically to that group of kids. And so if we
good.
are able to isolate that particular group of kids and then, speak into those specific needs, we can get a whole lot more progress than having a large,
Absolutely.
much more diverse group of kids, i.e. girls and boys at the same time, and throwing a blanket over them all and hoping everybody catches something.
Absolutely.
And so if we're able to, basically narrow it down by 50%, get that group of young men in and focus on those specific needs, we can make some good progress early on and then go from there. Like Cameron said, the ultimate plan is to go K-12 boys and girls, and we're making that step, the next step in that process. But that is I think something that's really important is a lot of people have a lot of needs, but we're able to speak to specific needs because we
Absolutely.
know those young men have specific
Absolutely.
needs.
Thank you for that. And we were go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Okay. We were talking before the set, and you just mentioned it too when we started off as all boys, but you're not all boys. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about why it started off as all boys and how the girls got added in.
That's exactly
Yeah,
what I was
I know we were both excited to talk about that. So
Yeah,
let's
we're
talk about it.
excited as well.
Yeah, I mean, like Cameron said, the Smith Academy 6 were all young men. And really what he saw was these specific needs that these young men had
Sure.
and some of the things that they had in common. And so really the basis was, some of the things that we're seeing in our community with some of the violence and some of the challenges that our urban young men had and continue to have. We wanted to address those specific needs. We know that we can't be all things to all people, but we know we can specialize in something early on and expand from there. And so, we didn't want to start off too big. I think that happens a lot of times just in businesses in general, but certainly in education as well, is sometimes organizations start off too broad and are never able to be as effective as they
Right.
could be if they would focus on
Taylor
something.
on yep.
And you said focus and also patience with the process, because it seems like you starting off with the boys, you obviously learned a lot from the process. I'm sure it took a lot of notes. And so getting to this point now where you say, hey, we can ready to open the doors. And we know how, based off what we have already been through, we know how to reach the young ladies too, and how to help them.
Yeah,
So-
that's a great point. I think that's something really, really important that we want people to understand is we're not a boys' school and we're just adding girls.
Correct.
We are an educational facility that specifically started with young men and targeted young men with specific strategies. And now we're ready to add the girls component, like Cameron said. And we're doing the same research and doing the same focus on our young ladies. And so they're going to get what they need specifically. Our young men are going to get what they need specifically. And that's what we do across the board. Our high achievers get what they need specifically.
Yes.
Our struggling students get what they need specifically. So everything is very tailored, and it is really very individualized. Matter of fact, we actually have an individualized plan for every single student in the building. They have an individualized document, and so that's how specific it is. So again, it's not just that
cookie
we
cutter.
just like boys and we're just gonna
Right,
and we're not gonna
right.
throw the same curriculum that the boys got at the girls and just figure out it'll just work.
Yes.
We are specifically focusing in on young ladies and like I said, serving them the way that they need to be served. Because the reality is, just like our young men have specific needs,
Yes.
our young urban young ladies have specific needs as well. And so we want to address those appropriately and make sure that our young ladies and our families understand that our young ladies are every bit as important to us as our young men.
Absolutely.
And we're focusing on them as well.
I'm so excited
Absolutely.
to just know the curriculum and
Yeah, I
what
was gonna say,
other
and-
classes do you guys offer that, let's just say, the traditional schools may not. So
And I was just gonna say, obviously there's different needs, but even we talk about brain research, right? And physiologically,
the
girls,
development.
girls' brains develop the exact opposite direction
Yeah.
as it relates to some of those things, and so you got to teach to that.
You do.
Girls
think,
learn completely different from boys.
Yeah.
Tailoring, specifically, I have a lot of friends in education, teachers, and one of the things you hear them say, as well as parents, I feel like there's, not enough teacher and way too many kids. So a lot of kids are getting, quote, left behind, when you hear people talk, real people talk in the community. So I love the fact that it is tailored, and it is research based. What do you need? Not just what we think you need. Statistically, and as we're asking you and you're showing us, what do you need? And that brings me, to the next thing. We can't talk about any kind of educational program without talking about enrollment. So, if somebody is watching or has questions, let's talk about how the enrollment works.
Yeah. Cameron kind of mentioned that as a public charter school in Indiana, we're open to any qualified child, which, for us is boys K to 12 and girls K to 5. And so there is not any type of testing. There are also no fees.
Okay.
And so we are a free institution. And so the enrollment process basically is we have a pre-enrollment form online. And so families can pre-enroll online, then they'll get a follow-up letting them know that we've received their pre-enrollment.
Okay.
And then we follow up with registration over the summer. And we do, take some extra time to contact families during that registration process to talk specifically about their child. So we get to know them a little bit before school even starts. And so enrollment really is, we try to make it as easy as possible. But we also want families to know who we are and, what we're offering ahead of time. So they're not, blindly enrolling.
Right.
But generally when people come to us, it's because they know what we offer.
Of course. Do they do that at the web, your
Yes.
website, or where, and what is that?
That is fwsafe.com.
fwsafe.com. Okay. Cameron, what were we going to?
I was just gonna say, the one other thing to add to that too. There's a question that oftentimes comes up, and that is there a voucher process? And the answer is no. There's no voucher process with charter schools.
So speak to it, because I wanted to know when you said free. I mean, that's mind blowing.
Absolutely.
So how is that possible?
The only fee associated with our school is uniforms. So we are a uniform school, and we're very strict about it. And I believe it's paid dividends. The shirt's got to be tucked in. You have to wear a belt. You're required to wear the proper shoes. Now it's not dress shoes or anything, but you don't get to wear slides or
Right.
sandals
or house shoes.
or house shoes.
Yep.
You just have to have closed-toed shoes. We don't. Outside of that, there's no requirement. As it relates
Probably
to
no bonnets. Once
no bonnets.
I love it because I'm hearing, because Smith excellence. So
Yeah.
that
That's
word
right.
we talked
Absolutely.
about,
That's right.
people leaving that word off, but that word matters.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Can't can't put it in the title if you're not going to stick to
I
it.
know.
So we do truly try to hold our
That
kids to a
standard.
different
I love
standard.
it.
and
Yeah,
different
as we
levels of
should.
expectation.
You know, I mean, you know, we say all the time that the children are our future, but what, like, we have to ask ourselves what we are doing to prepare them for the future. Are we preparing them to be excellent? You know, something as simple as, you know, the dress code, or you say we're strict about it. You know, I hear that and I think that that's amazing because as somebody who has been a hiring manager for a long time, I run across a lot of adults who I feel like, you know, don't present themselves well. And a lot of times, you know, they're losing credibility simply because of how they're presenting themselves, you know. So I absolutely love that. Absolutely love it. And we talk about the fees. There are none. But when I look at your website, I see all of these things, and I'm just going to list a couple because I want to talk about something that you guys have coming up as far as raising a little bit of money. So you have all kinds of programs. You have college prep, special education, English language learners. You touched a little bit on the mentorship, as well as training for leadership. I saw that a lot. Whether you guys were in, you know, a special article or on your website, leadership was used a lot. So let's talk about what you do, you know, to raise money for things. I know you have something coming up to raise money for the athletic department. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, so during the school year, we do a lot of grant writing. We do some things to try to fill the gap because the funding we get from the state's not always enough to run the school with excellence. And so we do write a lot of grants and do things like that to try to fill the gaps. But we do have an exciting event coming up. I'll let Cameron share with you about for our first time this year.
Yeah. So we're doing our first annual Smith Academy Fighting 54th golf outing.
Oh wow!
So we're holding a golf outing, and I say the Fighting 54th golf outing. A lot of people don't realize, but our mascot is in honor of the volunteer regiment, the 54th Volunteer Regiment that were made famous by the movie Glory. So our mascot is that's right. They talk all of them. Morgan Freeman. I mean, it was a
good movie.
Yeah, it's a tremendous movie, but. As good of a movie it is, I think they did an excellent job portraying everything that those men stood for. And so we decided that we thought that was a good idea to make them our mascot, as some you know, a lot of parallels, men working towards, you know, a common goal, changing their families, changing the future of a specific group, restoring dignity to a group that was experiencing a lot of degradation. And so, you know, there was just a lot of things there that we thought it would be important to do that. So, you know, we're proud of the mascot. So we were making sure that we're calling it the first annual Smith Academy Fighting 54th golf outing.
Now, do you have to really know how to golf?
No. You do not. Even though our tagline, our tagline is a drive for excellence. So there's, you know, a plan. But no, honestly, you know, golf outings are oftentimes very laid back. People shouldn't take themselves too serious. Now, there are very competitive golf outings that are out there. This is not going to be one of them. I'm telling you.
Okay.
So yeah, all are welcome. All different skill levels.
Nice.
We are going to have a lot of different fun games that we do. There's going to be, you know, some traditional, you know, hole in one. We have a hole in one challenge. Hit a hole in one, you know, can win money. And
so you got something for the putt people.
Oh yeah. There's absolutely there's gonna be a putting challenge that will be a challenge, but it'll be fun. And then of course you have like proximity challenges where, you know, who can hit closest to the pin from, you know, in a par 3, longest putt, longest drive. And then we got a few additional games that I think will be probably a little bit unique that will be fun for anybody that comes out. We have one special guest that has been confirmed that's very popular here in Fort Wayne that many kids and adults I think will enjoy seeing. Can't share that. That's a little bit of a
Not
tease
even
there.
a hint. You're going to tell us all that and then not even drop it.
I can't. Yeah, I'm going to follow our social media because we're going to be dropping hits over the next probably 2 or 3 weeks. Who it might be. We actually had we went to another my brother and I here, Corey and I went to another event here recently and met some well-known celebrities and athletes. And we had a pretty well-known Michigan alumni. That's a former football player, both at the collegiate level and NFL for a while. Who's another one that he indicated that he was going to come to our outing. So if you're a Michigan fan out there, you might be able to come out and meet one of the all-time Michigan greats.
Nice.
But yeah, so we're gonna do the golf outing. We still have some sponsorships that we're hoping someone will take over and purchase and take those. But it's $500 per foursome. That comes with breakfast, drinks, snacks, and lunch afterwards. And then there's door prizes. We're also doing a silent auction after the outing. And what else am I missing? I feel like there's some other
So
things
you can
going on.
register for that on our website.
I was going to
as
say,
well.
the
same.
sponsorships that are left, how can somebody grab those? How can they do that?
Sponsorships that are left are available. They're on our website. You go to fwsafe.com/golf-outing. And you can either register as a team. There's a link to register as a team there. It'll take you to the registration page, or you can click on sponsorships, and then that'll take you to the sponsorship pages. And almost all of the sponsorships that are left right now come with at least one team entry, and 2 of them come with 2 team entries.
Gotcha.
So those
Gotcha.
are still available, and
That's so
love to
cool.
see everybody come out.
Were you guys surprised when you realized that Smith Academy for Excellence created the word acronym SAFE?
It was actually by design.
I was
It was actually by design, but
yeah, because I mean that's so perfect, right? For the atmosphere and everything, the environment that you try
That's right.
to or that you do provide. Now, so I have one question before you leave. So, what personal values do you guys would you say leads you or guide you in your decision making from day to day?
That's easy. My relationship with Christ is what guides me.
Okay.
Like Cameron said, obviously learning from our parents how to live out our faith was really, really important. And so, guidance from the Lord is what directs me. That's like Cameron said, we feel like this is our ministry, this is our opportunity to share Christ's love with the community, and so that's pretty easy
I
answer. That's the
love
driving
it
force.
unapologetically.
Yes.
unapologetically.
Yes.
And he speaks for all 3 of us.
Okay.
Myself, my dad, and my brother here. Our family.
Yeah.
But
And this is your ministry, and it's a beautiful thing. And
is.
I know there's a lot of people who have ideas in their head. Everything starts as an idea, whether it be something grandiose or whatever. So I just kind of want you, before we wrap up, to share with those watching how important it is to follow that dream or to follow that vision, no matter how long it takes to get there. And maybe it'll never, get there. But a lot of finding our purpose is having something in our sight, which is a vision. So if you could kind of either or both of you just share the importance of following your heart, following that vision.
absolutely. I if anybody can testify to that, I can. Write the vision, make it plain.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is that, I believe you take the first couple steps. You never know who's listening. You never know who's watching.
Yes.
And the one thing I was also learned is that you also have to be careful with who you share with.
Yes. Right.
You gotta be careful who you share with sometimes, and be sure that who you share your vision and dreams with is trustworthy. But at the same time, I believe that the Lord will put people in place,
Yes.
and bring things to fruition. But you have to take the steps that are necessary. Because had I, just kind of in passing blurted out like, oh yeah, I think starting a school would be cool. But no, by the time I had talked to Mr. Bolier about it, I had literally written the vision out
Yeah.
and made it plain.
Right.
This is what my dad's going to do. This is what my brother's going to do. This is how we're going to do it collectively. This is what the classroom will look like. These are what the electives will
That's
be.
so beautiful.
We want to do botany. We want to do, mentorship. We want to teach character. And that's something that I got to brag on my brother about is we teach character every day.
It's important.
Every day, 180 days, they get to hear from somebody who's got all the character in the world.
Right.
And truly the things that he speaks on are things that, he lives out. So,
That's
but
good.
again, I it's absolutely paramount that, you write it out, because I believe that the Lord honors that, and if you're doing the things the right way, He's going to put people in the paths to help bring that to fruition. So that's the long answer. I'm sorry.
That's a good answer, because when you say that, not only do you write it, but then it says, what's the other part of that? That he that read it.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
You understand it and run with
That's
it.
right.
And is that what happened?
That's exactly
That
what happened.
sounds exactly what
Yeah.
happened.
Amen.
That's beautiful.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. It does take leaders to grow leaders. That's a quote by Mr. Ray Blunt, and it stresses the necessity of strong leadership as a foundation for fostering future leaders, which are children. And I don't know if you said this, or your dad said it, but somebody said it. Somebody said that we believe the greatest impact that we can have in revitalizing our communities is through our children. That is very powerful. The children are our future. It is our responsibility on earth. It is the rent that we pay to foster beautiful leaders in our community. So I want to thank you guys for being here with us. I want to thank you for joining us this evening. We've had a great conversation. Gentlemen with a vision. Following in Dad's footsteps, and not just a vision, but making it real.
Powerful
and we are
vision.
very grateful for
you,
both of you
guys.
in our community and for the Academy as a whole. So thank you. And before we exit, we always want to remind you to
Always protect your mind. A podcast by Neutral Voices Media.
Count your opinions important, so you gotta speak out. Don't let your chance to be heard pass by. Spare not, let me hear you loud, proud. Shout it out real loud. Everybody wake up. Shout it out real loud. Everybody wake up. Wake up. No time for sleeping on the issues. This is Neutral Voices. We gon' deal with the issues.